It is finally time. I promised you a Heilang guide, how to play Tamer the wrong way, and after hours and hours of putting numbers in notepads, in this case, I'm finally confident enough to put this out there and say it's as good as it's gonna get. I have the combos, the damage numbers, comparing damage numbers to Awakening Guardian, and then some, normal Tamer Succession numbers, how I performed in certain spots, just everything there is to know. Please use the timestamps to navigate around to whatever you want to know and see first, because I took my time. I saw this kind of like a casual conversation. It ended up being a bit long. I started talking about the spots and my trash numbers and all that first, and much later got into what you want to know, which is a combo. But yeah, also do consider leaving a like on the video if you find it useful. Much appreciated. Thank you. Before I begin, I would like people to know that every single tamer I spoke to, they all say grinding on Heilang mounted is a meme. It is troll. It's not viable, and I've been told that for the past month over and over, and I just simply kept on playing it because it seemed interesting and I just wanted to make it work. And I mean, come on, Heilang looks fun. So just know it won't be the best grinder out there, but you're gonna be unkillable. You will be able to grind areas with much less TP than you otherwise would need, like say Dehkia Turos, Dehkia Oluns. Those are really safe to grind, and at least it is very comparable to Awakening Guardian, I will tell you that much. Here's the full list of areas where I took Heilang. Yeah, I tried a lot of spots just to see where it works and how well it works. Let's start with Turos. I'm gonna give you a brief summary of my experience in all of those spots. They are not in order in any way, it's just the way I track them. For Turos, I only wrote down 3 hours, let's say 3 best hours, the ones that were more noteworthy. The first 2 with Gameru, which I believe plays Succession Succ. I hope I'm not wrong there, but I got 21.3, 21.5 thousand trash. I will provide screenshots for almost all of these, and then I did 1 hour with Looney prior to the ones with Gameru, where I got 24.2. Looney plays Succession Witch. Everyone knows Looney gets broken numbers. Definitely a spot where mounted works, because you don't have to worry about getting CC'd at all, so no resistance crystals needed. You will never die, and you can dismount Heilang after every, during the cooldown time after every boss, and just use the absorption skill or rage absorption, so it works really well here. For City of the Dead, it's another spot where Heilang kind of excels, I would say. I got 16 and 16.2 thousand trash, turning on Agris for the horse only, for the elite, on yellow loot scroll. Everything I'm gonna talk about today is on yellow loot scroll or yellow plus Agris. This is obviously a very simple spot. Most classes can do well here. You just need to CC the boss and then down attack the monsters, and obviously they explode after half HP, so it works in Heilang's favor. At Trolls, I have 4 sessions that were tracked. A very early one, 7.5 thousand trash, then 7.9 thousand trash, it got better, then 8.7, the latest ones, literally last week, and then 8.6 thousand trash. Those last 2 sessions had 2 buffs, 2 Elvia buffs, 10 minutes in 1 hour. In fact, both of them were extended past 1 hour. They were 61, I believe, and 66 minutes. And then I just did the math to see trash per hour, just so I can extend and get that second boss buff. At Dehkia Oluns, another spot where I would actually recommend it. Again, you don't have to worry about breaking crystals, you don't need to worry about resistances. You can dismount Heilang and absorb your rage and the absorption buff in between golem waves, golem spawns, or even mid during the when the golem waves spawn and they gather in the middle. I don't have any background clip to show you here, sadly, didn't record anything. I just have the screenshots with 4.9, almost 5,000 trash from the first session, and then 7.9 yellow plus Agris, 8,000 trash. I believe they were both with Looney. I remember at that time I did use some kind of trash calculator, and it was somewhere 5 to 5.1 thousand trash per hour, yellow loot scroll. Rhutums, I don't even know if people have any kind of reference, because nobody grinds here. I literally came here just to test a dumb idea, which was to have a partner. If you look at on the party thingy, I have a partner, I'm in a party to try special deals at Rhutums by I grind my own crate, my partner grinds his own crate, and we use special deals to sell the despairs and all of that. And it worked in the end, it actually worked perfectly. Then I got 23,000 trash. I believe I did turn on agris for most of the elites, but not all of them. At Gyfins, I would like to come back and do more hours. This was one of the earlier spots I went to, and I did optimize and learn a bit more since then. You can look at my character experience actually to figure out exactly when each of these sessions was done, because obviously the more experience I have, the later it was. Dehkia Ash is a very questionable place. It's one of those areas where you kinda would wanna take Heilang because it's very hard to grind there, but you need to have some patience. In my case, I had to resummon Heilang every 6 minutes because he dies really fast here. If you're willing to suffer through that, or you just simply have to grind this place, you have to do Dehkia Ash for whatever reason, you want debos and whatever reason, you can, right? You can. It's just, you're gonna lose some speed. It makes sense. If you have to disengage from the pack 11 or 10 times per hour, you're gonna lose maybe like 3 minutes of your full hour doing that. In the end, I believe I did a half an hour session and then a 1 hour session, and they were both around 10.5 thousand trash on yellow, which again is not groundbreaking, but I'm pretty sure it would have been 12,000 if I didn't have to disengage from the pack 11 times in an hour. At Dehkia Thornwood, this is the first place I would consider Heilang a failure. It doesn't work, not because of the damage, but purely because your AoEs are not big enough. After 1 hour I got 14.4, and it's not really good. It's meh. People kinda aim for what, 18 to 20,000 trash, or even more if you play Guardian. You can do it, but your AoEs are kinda capping you here. At Dehkia Cyclops, it works really well. It's another place I would recommend it, because you can just simply sit there and face tank the Cyclops' big one-shot mechanics. You just don't have to move. It's really chill, and I got the same numbers as I did back when I reviewed the place, 10.6 thousand trash in just 1 hour. I spent only 1 hour here. Just like many of the spots I'm gonna talk about today, I spent 1 hour in most of them. You can imagine it takes time and practice to optimize and play better. If I only spent 1 hour, just you can picture it, there's room for improvement. Dehkia Hystria is just okay. I again spent only 1 hour here to try this. I got 18.7 thousand trash in 1 hour, yellow loot scroll, and I can get 20, sometimes 21 on Guardian. It's not that bad, it's not groundbreaking, it's not trash either, so you can use it here. At Jade Forest, I would like to say it works really well, but then again, you and me probably have different standards, and if you watch Pavel, you know how broken this spot can actually be. When I reviewed Jade, I got, I believe, 36 or 37,000 trash, yellow plus agris, the best hours on Guardian, and on Heilang, I got 33.1 thousand trash, which is very close. Maybe for you 33,000 trash is bad. For me it seems good enough. Orc Camp is a spot where I wish I came back to do more hours, because out of the one I did in Marni room, I got 26.2, which is acceptable. It's not horrible, but it's not really what I'm used to getting on Guardian, which was around 33,000 trash per hour. Others can do more or less. For me, 26 is something I would come back and improve upon. Saunils is again one of those areas where nobody really cares. Nobody grinds Saunils other than Pavel to prove a point that Nova is broken everywhere, so you probably don't even have numbers to compare these two, but again, I spent 1 hour here to try Saunils, only 1 hour, probably a wonky rotation on top of that, and I got 25,000 trash, which seems really good considering this is kind of the same speed I had back on Wusa when I tested this place for experience numbers, which was months ago. I probably don't even have to explain Elvia Hexe too much in depth since I just made a video on Elvia Hexe. Out of the tracked hours in here to show you today, 28,000 and 27.3, I believe those two were with only one of the rings, one of the topaz rings, and then 29.9, 29.5 and 30. Virtually 30,000 trash is what I kind of plateaued at nowadays with 2 rings, 2 tri-Manos topaz rings and grinding mounted in Marni room. Elvia Giants, again, Heilang works here pretty well. Out of Marnie Room, just normal Elvia Giants, I got 30-ish thousand trash on yellow. The first attempt, first hour, which I didn't actually screenshot, I just remember from the stream. And then the one I can show you is 31.8, the second hour I did, just to, to try to push it harder, or just because I wanted to do Giants for another hour. Which again is not bad, I could probably do even better if I min-max the rotation. I should have mentioned this sooner, but for example here at the Giant I had a human damage build, everything except the main weapon with human damage. So I had human damage crystals, human damage elixirs I believe, unless I ran elixir rotation with human damage. Essentially for all of the spots I showed and will keep showing, everything was as min-max as I could make it. I just wanted to have good hours. I tried. I had elixir rotation everywhere and I had the correct species damage wherever I went. Human damage, human Kama Sylvian, or back attack crystals if I needed back attack. We are getting close. I told you there are a lot of places where I took Heilang over the past month and a half of playing it. The next one would be Biraghi, 22,000 trash in 1 hour. I believe I used to get 24, 25 on Awakening Guardian, so from 22 to 25 or 24, it's again like 10%-ish slower than Awakening Guardian in Marnie Room, so not bad. Darkseekers, another area where it doesn't really work, or I would not recommend it. I only did 1 hour, it was 13.8 thousand trash, yellow plus agris. It's not really impressive when you see people posting 20,000 trash plus numbers on YouTube. Maybe I can push it to 15, 16, maybe, but it didn't feel like a good experience. I just didn't like it here. Padix, I did 2 sessions, the first one 32.1, the second one 34.5 almost thousand trash. I believe blue plus agris in this case. So good numbers from what I remember. I didn't really grind Padix in ages, but 30 something thousand trash used to be what I got on Guardian. Crypt is a very special potato because I used to get asked very often in chat how is Heilang at Crypt. It's one of the most requested areas and I used to say that it doesn't work here because Heilang only has 2 CC abilities, one of them is a bound and the other one is a float. And when I came here originally, very early on in the hours, it didn't seem to knock down the monsters, so I concluded I cannot make use of down attacks, therefore Heilang doesn't really work here. It's a bad example, it's a bad spot. It also didn't help that my session was interrupted, I fell through the map. I don't have any clips, but here's a replacement for it. TLDR, I concluded back then that it's only 13,000 trash per hour, maybe, if I completed the full hour, until I came back today. I returned to see if I can make it work, to put all of my knowledge in practice and, at least try even if I don't get down attacks. And funny enough, now I changed my mind, it actually works. There are some downsides, for example, during this 45-minute session I had to go and repair at my tent my gear twice, so not the most convenient thing ever. I had to resummon Heilang about once every 12 to 15 minutes because eventually he dies, but you can do it and it seems to indicate somewhere around 16,000 trash per hour on yellow loot scroll, which according to Garmoth average numbers, it seems pretty good. Dehkia Pila jail, not much to say, it's just like Akman and Hystria, it's capped waves, not much to do to grind faster. First one 20.9 and second one 21.8 thousand trash. I can maybe do 22, so not bad, not impressive, just standard according to Garmoth average numbers. And for Sulfur, last one for today, I didn't review it yet, but I'm gathering hours for it. 23.6 and 23.5, the 2 hours I have on Heilang. Again, respectable trash numbers, it works here. And there you go, finally, that's the full list of areas I visited mounted on Heilang. Out of all of them, I guess notable things in terms of how long Heilang survives, in most areas I noticed your armor breaks faster than it does when you're dismounted, so in most spots I have to repair, to go to my tent and repair at least once or twice per hour. It's rare for me to not have to repair. Some exceptions would be maybe trolls, like Quint Hill, Elvia trolls, you don't really get punched that much there, so I didn't have to repair there. And then how long does Heilang survive? It again depends on the spot. The shortest one is obviously Dehkia Ash, where he dies every 5.5 to 6 minutes. So it's a real struggle to keep him alive long enough to resummon him through absorption, so you don't have to resummon him the slow way. In most other areas, if you try and you dodge, you don't just sit there and face tank everything. For example, Pila Sulfur, he survives around 15 minutes, 20 if I try harder, but around 15, so you would resummon him 3 times per hour. It's not that big of a deal. At Sulfur it's even funny because you don't even get knocked up by the geysers. Heilang's HP and stats and all that, it's not pet damage. The damage you do while you're mounted, you can just consider it as your Tamer does the damage and you're just using Heilang as a mount. Your buffs, that's why you saw me doing Elixir rotation for pretty much all of the spots I went to, because now I have continuous care, so I can use an Elixir rotation. So buffs matter as long as they are offensive. I'm still not 100% sure if DP gear truly matters, but I remember I went to Hexe and I tried to freshly summon Heilang and have him out with all of my gear equipped and then get punched in the face, and then with all of my gear removed, just literally everything other than my weapons, and then he seemed to die at the exact same rate. So I don't believe defense DP matters on Heilang. Another spot I remember clearly was Dehkia Ash, where I started without even having a DP add-on or a DP elixir or just using my DP buff skill. So just I was missing 50 to 70 DR, and then after I got that I went back to Dehkia Ash and I saw literally no difference. It was maybe placebo, and same for HP regen. You cannot use HP regen add-ons or elixirs to recharge Heilang. If I zoom on screen and you look at his HP bar, the mount HP, he has like 1.1 million HP. That's why he is so tanky. When you're mounted, you cannot absorb rage, so just write it off, forget about it. In most areas, unless it's Dehkia Oluns, where you have a window to dismount, absorb rage and remount, or Dehkia Turos in between waves, in most areas I don't think it's even worth it, because I tried it at Dehkia Pilaku and some other areas, and it's not worth the hassle to dismount, absorb rage and remount. So just simply forget about that 30 AP buff. You're not gonna have it. Same for a self AP buff. You have one on Tamer, you don't have one mounted on Heilang. So it goes without saying, Heilang does best in AB capped areas. So how do you play it? We are finally here, the combo section. Right, everything there is to know about his skills and numbers and comparisons. Let's begin with this one. These are all of your skills, the entire kit on Heilang in order as you will see them on your skill tree in game. And these are the ones that are kind of worth using, this and maybe shift Q sometimes. So this is your core, and everything else that's not here is kind of worthless. Q is about 3 seconds. I used to believe in the beginning that everything Heilang does is about 1 second. For example, Q is a 3 seconds-ish long skill, does almost 30,000 damage. It's not really worth using, don't ever use it. RMB, just straight up lock it. I added it here today, it wasn't even added in this notepad before because it's a worthless skill. You don't want to use RMB, just lock it. Shift RMB, it's only useful to reposition, otherwise don't bother. It's about 1 second long, 15,000 damage. You have better options. It's not needed, that's what I mean. But you can use Shift RMB to reposition, and Shift RMB cancels into Shift F if you need it at some point. Spacebar is useful just to CC the wizard dude at City of the Dead, for example. I don't remember which one, but it does either float or bound, so that's why spacebar is not locked. WRMB is your built-in defense break ability. You want to use this, obviously. It's the only built-in -20 DP shred you have, and it doesn't work in cooldown. Just remember, you can spam this skill in cooldown. It will do significantly reduced damage in cooldown, but it will also not apply the DP shred in cooldown. So make sure you use this out of cooldown. It has, I believe, 5 seconds cooldown. Shift F is your core, the biggest damage ability you have in your kit. It does either 10 or 11 times this much damage, 3 charges. Looking at the description, I'm not quite sure if it does both a charge, 1 hit, and then the follow-up 10 hits. So that's why I don't know if it's 10 or 11 times the damage, but it's basically this or this times 3, so like 70,000 damage. It has 8 seconds cooldown, and you're gonna burn like 3 of those seconds just using the skill. So then you have to kill 5 more seconds doing something else, and then you do Shift F again. Shift Q is a filler ability. It has virtually the same damage as WRMB. I have repeat add-ons on Shift Q just because in some areas Shift Q is a little bit bigger of an AoE, and you can throw this if you want instead of WRMB. You will see later the combo. Just know that Shift Q is a filler skill that you can use to replace this one. It doesn't have any other purpose, otherwise just don't use it. SRMB, your second best damage ability, and this one, it does full damage in cooldown and you can spam it in cooldown. The only disadvantage is that SRMB has a very short AoE range and it's mostly a frontal cone, you could say. It's literally the same-ish hit box as the animation, but still it's your second best damage and it's what you're gonna mainly use to fill in until Shift F is out of cooldown. And then Shift E, just it's worth using. It's mainly a frontal cone skill. It cannot be used in cooldown, and again, acceptable damage. It's very close to the 20,000 ish. I mainly noted this one as add-on. You use this for add-ons, which brings us to this, your core. Normally when I grind, I guess you could say I made 3 different combos, 3 variations to the same combo, but after doing the damage numbers today, I figured that they are basically all the same in terms of damage per second, so it doesn't really matter. WRMB, 1 hit, you just cast it out of cooldown, so you do full damage. It has the 7 seconds back attack and critical hit damage add-ons, so I like to recast it here to reapply those add-ons. Built-in DP Shred, after which you do Shift E, mostly for add-ons, and the most important part, it cancels into Shift F. You can skip Shift E, sometimes I just sideways dash, which also cancels into Shift F. Then you repeat WRMB, because 5 seconds passed, it's out of cooldown, and then you spam SRMB. This one is up to you depending on the combo. Did I make this too complicated? I can explain it better with the next notepad. This was the one I used to do damage calculations on Heilang. These are the 3 combos, right? The first one, the longest, the medium, and the short. Each of these is just damage, so you have WRMB, debuff monsters, Shift E, the frontal cone, to cancel into the 3 hits, these 3 of Shift F. It's the same for all 3 of them, and then the variations start here. You either reapply WRMB, this one, and then you spam SRMB 6 times, virtually until your add-ons expire, the 7 seconds here, and then you just restart, right? That's why it's 6 times, or you only do it 4 times, so that this one is out of cooldown, and the shortest, simplest one is WRMB, Shift E, Shift F 3 times, and then only twice SRMB, you don't reapply WRMB. Back when I thought everything on Heilang was 1 second long, I did this as quick math to see his damage per second for each of the combos, and I figured, oh, the shortest one, this one, has to be the best one, because it highest numbers, right? So this is the one I should recommend, but no. Specifically for today, I went into Battle Arena and I did the math. I timed my combos to see exactly my damage output, and then again, as I said in the beginning, to compare this to Guardian or to normal Succession Tamer. I would skip this part because the video is getting a bit long, but just for context, it's good to have it here. I will put the clips in the background. Let's say first, mounted on Heilang, all 3 combos. It's the same explanation as back when I did the Scholar and Guardian damage numbers. Basically, I use my cooldown icons as metrics for when a skill is actually starting. So as soon as the first skill goes in cooldown, the icon appears, that's when I start my timer, and then I add an extra random skill at the end of the rotation just to have an extra icon, and then I stop the timer then. I think I spoke a bit too much because the rotations are like 10 seconds ish long. So by now in the background you might see Guardian doing her part, and then later on Succession Tamer dismounted. For Awakening Guardian there are two combos. Both of them were tested with rage buff and without rage buff. Same for Succession Tamer, you know, dismounted. I have my one combo that I do sometimes when I grind not on Heilang. So that's what we are working with. For all three of them I had Vel, attack speed crystals, attack speed add-ons, even though on Heilang attack speed crystals don't really work. So, you know, I try to be as fair as possible to see the full damage in all of them. I didn't go extremely in depth to say, oh, 5 times each combo and then average out the numbers and all of that. And I'm a 60 FPS enjoyer. I play at 60 FPS capped. So if Tamer benefits from high frame rate, I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. So back to Tamer. Remember when I said this skill, Shift F? I'm not quite sure if it does all 11 hits or only 10. So then I added both variations. The first one if it does all 11 hits, and the second one if it does only 10. You know, total damage dealt. This is the first combo, second one, third one, you know, first, second and third combo in that order. Let's just say, to be as optimistic as possible, I will just choose these three numbers. They are virtually the same, as you can see for yourself. Whichever combo you do, it ends up being the same damage per second, about 18.2, 18.3. That's Heilang's DPS. Is this gonna be accurate? Obviously, it's a very controlled environment. In actual grinding, it's worth noting that you will dash around. So one thing I like to argue in Heilang's favor, you know, before I show you the Guardian and Tamer numbers, you have the freedom, the option to just sit there and face tank damage. On any class, even on Heilang, it goes without saying, if you dash around, that's time you don't spend doing damage. So this 18.3 thousand damage per second, it's basically me repeating my combo over and over and over without doing anything else, without moving around. Let's start with Guardian. This is the main combo. Combo 1, the one I used to do, just those skills in order with their damage. And then combo 2, the one that's supposed to be more efficient. I'm actually surprised. Let me know, honestly, let me know in the comments if I did something wrong. Why is this less damage than this combo in terms of DPS? Because this one is supposed to be the most optimal Guardian rotation. It's supposed to be the best Guardian combo, but it gives me worse DPS. You probably already saw, yeah, 18.3 on Heilang. Turns out Awakening Guardian has less damage per second than Heilang. I was surprised when I saw this. I didn't expect it. This is just damage output. Guardian has much bigger AoEs, so it most likely makes up for the slightly lower DPS even than Heilang, because her AoEs are massive. So there is always more than just damage to take into consideration, but at least it proves that, unlike what everyone seems to say, Heilang doesn't have trash damage. Okay, time to give it to all of you Tamer mains who keep telling me that Heilang is a meme and it sucks. Yep, you are right, you know. This is the combo I do on Succession Tamer. I hope I got every one of these numbers right. Let me know in the comments if it's wrong. For SRMB, it's the second attack that actually applies in this combo. Then for Magnus, I don't know, because if you look at the description of Magnus, it says it has a first attack, something, blah, blah, I forgot exactly how it's worded, but it's a first hit and then the extra hits these. And it's just one bonk, the animation, and it looks the same whether it's cancelled or not. I just accounted for everything in the damage number, but I'm not sure if that's wrong. Then the second jolt, because you do bolt jolt, space to cancel it, then bolt jolt again. The second jolt is in cooldown, and it says in the description it does less damage in cooldown. The problem is it doesn't say how much less in cooldown, so I just accounted it as half damage. And then lastly, for Shift Z and the other one, the flow, Shift Z seems to be attack 1, and then it cancels into the other one, the flow, which does both attacks. The damage comes down to this much, 21.4 without rage and then 22.7 with rage. Averaging both of them, it's 22. So the conclusion for today would be Heilang seems to be 8% more damage than Awakening Guardian, and then Succession Tamer is 20% more damage than Heilang, which kinda again makes sense, cause I would expect normal classes to grind 10 to 20% faster than Heilang does. And lastly, my add-ons, right, at the end of the video, sure, what a better place to put them, good thing you have timestamps. This is what I'm using nowadays in general. As I said, I have a duplicate on Shift Q and WRMB to use whichever. This one is completely useless. I have nothing to put in here. I only use 4 skills and a filler, so there is no 6 stability, but might as well. Maybe I'm gonna hold Q at some point. On this one you need crit rate. It's the only ability where you need a crit rate add-on to make it 100% crit rate, and if you grind a spot with human damage, you can put human damage on roaring, just the human damage buff instead of minus evasion, or just play with them however you want. I believe that's everything I know about Heilang. It's a very chill class, it's a very chill grinder. I like it. Some of you will say, oh, I get bored really fast, this is kinda boring. It's a nice change of pace. It's different. I would say not... Look at Succession Nova. She at least Heilang grinds better than Succession Nova. If I forgot anything, I will leave a comment if I remember anything else. Otherwise, happy grinding, go have fun, go make parties for Dehkia Turos and just go there without resistances. You don't worry about anything, just go chill. Go to Dehkia Oluns, go get your debos, and again, it works. And I'm curious if I'm gonna convince any reasonable amount of people to actually try this or not. Whatever might happen, if people hate me for this or if they don't, I made it, right? I made the guide, that's how you play Heilang, that's how it compares to some other grinders I know. And yeah, I will see you next time. Take care, stay happy, bye bye.